term limits, but it will entrench them. And any president who will attempt to remove term limits will be charged with treason. It will be a treasonable offense to try to remove the mandatory term limits from the Constitution of Uganda under the National Unity Platform. Number two, in accordance with the Supreme Court decision, NUP is going to remove that UPDF amendment which took civilians back to military courts. Civilians will not be tried in military courts whatsoever. Number three, like the president said on the trail, the first action he will take once elected president of Uganda is to free all political prisoners. Now, you people who are watching us are the reason why those prisoners will be in prison after the election day. Because if you vote for NUP, all political prisoners, beginning with Dr. Chiza Besigye, Machete, Eddie Mutwe, Achireo, Gaddafi, and the Karamajong, who have been taken to those prisons and are not being tried for no crime whatsoever, will be freed immediately. Meaning that a vote for NUP is a vote to free all political prisoners. The media who are here today under NUP, no security forces, no police officer will interfere with the work of journalists in the new Uganda. Journalists will be free to do their role without fearing what will happen when they go back home. Under NUP, the president will not appoint the Electoral Commission. The powers to appoint the Electoral Commission will be taken away from the president. First of all, we are going to bring about separation of powers. Parliament will be independent, the judiciary will be independent, and therefore there will be organs. There will be a committee, a separate committee dealing with this, and the final approval coming from Parliament. So the powers to appoint the Electoral Commission, because we all know that that is one of the biggest problems we have today, where one of the candidates is the one who is appointing the Electoral Commission. That will not only go to the Electoral Commission, but also the appointment of judicial officers, including the Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice and all other judicial officers. That power will move over from the president. As you all know right now in Uganda, all judges from the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, Constitutional Court, and the High Court, all of them have been appointed by one man called General MUSEVENI. That is why many of them feel emboldened to him. That is why many of them feel indebted to him to do what is against the Constitution and what is against the judicial oath. But we believe that if the president is not the one appointing judicial officers, then judicial officers are going to do their function independently and serve the citizens of Uganda. In the new Uganda, there will be no internet shutdowns. On the internet when they feel like. That one will not happen in Uganda. The civil society, NGOs and others will be how old you are, where you come from, to get a job. In the new based on merit. You will get a job across the board. So that is how we plan to restore constitutionalism and the rule of law. We are going to remove all oppressive laws, the law books that we have, and very, very finally, we are going to have lifestyle audits as part of our fight against corruption. If you are serving the government, you must tell us where the money you're using is coming from, because we want to make sure that the money of the citizens is used to fight for the rights of the people and not for personal aggrandizement.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again, Mr. SG. I think that's a very clear plan about how we are going to undo the shrinking space that we enjoy as a country. I just want to let you know that it is possible to access this manifesto on the party official social media platforms, on the party website. Please look for it and be able to read some of the things that may not be captured in this short presentation. Our party spokesperson to present the second priority area, which is on ending corruption and wasteful expenditure. Thank you.
Thank you. This reminds me of our school debating days, where you're given 5 minutes to hammer the point. I'll attempt to do that. Our manifesto priority area number 2 is ending corruption and wasteful government expenditure, one of the biggest quandaries we have in our country. Let me paint a picture for you quickly. Our national debt currently is 116 trillion shillings. That's how much you and I owe. That means every Ugandan, including the baby that was born this morning, owes 2.5 million shillings. Every single Ugandan, including those who have never seen that kind of money. That's how bad it is. Good and disbursed loans, money that is borrowed, and it sits on accounts unutilized for a very long period, and yet we have got to pay interest on that. That has got to end. We want to plan for our country efficaciously, and it's possible for us to be able to do that. As you know, some of the borrowed money is stolen. We have a debt rollover, which we accumulate annually. That's money that we borrow and we are unable to pay. Domestic arrears. There's something called domestic arrears when government, ordinary people do business with government and government doesn't pay. That figure is 14 trillion shillings. People who supply food to government, ministries, departments, and so on, who do construction work, ordinary Ugandan people, 14 trillion shillings. These people borrow money from the bank so that they can do this government job, and government doesn't pay. So businesses are crumbling, local businesses. Meanwhile, we have foreign investors who come here. They are guaranteed land, they're given free land, tax holidays, they're guaranteed money. Pineti, I don't know, whoever, Rocco, was given 200 plus billion shillings. Achak Sugar Factory, 600 billion shillings. They by a farmer. These guys who promised to put together a COVID vaccine, 723 billion shillings. That nonsense is going to stop under our leadership. So that we focus on the ordinary Ugandan. There's no reason why our roads cannot be built by these young engineers who graduate. It's something that we should be able to do, but you bring foreigners here, they consume all the money, including the freebies that we give them. Look, we have got a lot of poor planning that happens, something that we want to eliminate. Every year, we have several schedules of supplementary budgets, up to about 5 trillion shillings. Now, supplementary is supposed to be ebigwa bitalazi. Abantu bafunye ebizibu bududa and so on, and then government comes to parliament and says, we didn't plan for this. Let's avail money. But here is the surprising thing. State House, Office of the President, which uses, by the way, over 2 billion shillings per day. Their annual budget is exhausted in the first quarter, in 3 months. That's a reality, always. In the first 3 months, their entire 12 months budget is exhausted. Then they come back to Parliament for supplementary budgets. That nonsense has got to stop. And we intend to stop it. We have extensively talked about corruption. We know that on an annual basis, we lose 10 trillion shillings per year to theft. Those are hospitals, those are schools, those are roads that are stolen on an annual basis. Our government intends to make it risky for anyone to steal taxpayers' money. I know there are people who have said, and I know folks in the Inspectorate of Government, they say our challenge is our people are not morally upright. That's why there's a lot of stealing that happens. Man is inherently evil. Look, governments elsewhere, countries elsewhere where there's not as much corruption, it's not because their people are morally upright and good. No, government has made it risky to steal. You steal taxpayers' money, we lock you up. So that others speak a lesson and know you cannot touch taxpayers' money. So we don't want to always talk about corruption like these folks. You will see action. Finally, we intend to eliminate taxes on essential items like menstrual products, scholastic materials, and school data bundle. We were debating this issue sometime in Parliament, and there was a young lady, I now hear she's going to run for woman MP. She's the current youth MP, Buganda. Now I hear she wants to represent the people of Luwero as woman MP. She said, no, let's not reduce taxes on Pampers, because when we reduce taxes on Pampers, we shall be promoting homosexuality. I said, did this one even go to school? How do you reason that way? Anyway, for us, we want to practically do that so that it is accessible by our ordinary people, by the poor people whom we must be able to bolster. Here is a catch. We want to introduce a payee tax threshold of 1 million shillings. That means, for those of you that are employed in the formal sector, because currently, for as long as you earn anything above 249,000, you are in the tax bracket, you must pay tax. For us, we are saying no. Anyone who earns below 1 million shillings, we are not going to tax that money. That is your money. So the tax threshold is going to be 1 million shillings. Anything below 1 million shillings, that is your money. Use it to better yourself as an individual. That works a lot better than, we have been seeing all these programs. Throw money at people, PDM, Myoka, Youth Livelihood. And yes, we want to bolster our people, and you'll be seeing many of those programs where we can bolster the ordinary people as opposed to foreigners. This money we are throwing at these foreign investors, no, we want to put it in the local people's businesses. But you begin that by lessening the tax burden on our ordinary folks. That's something that we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our party spokesperson. Now, this country seems to have a lot of divisions. We've had governments which pity us against each other, people from regions versus the other regions. But we are one people, we are Uganda, and that's why in our third priority point, we talk about national unity. We have a deliberate plan to make sure all of us live in this country united. I will invite Mr. Jogo Fred and Mr. Court George to talk about national unity, which is part and parcel of our party, but also part of our manifesto. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, the President and everybody gathered here today. My name is George William Okoit. I am one of those presenting priority number 3 that states that we as a country must focus on consolidating our national unity. We come from a country that has a history of war. If you're very much aware, every part of this country, including Central, had at least 1 or 3 rebel groups. While all these rebel groups existed, they did not fight an individual. They were all fighting for leadership for everybody in this country. We have consumed fabricated history and distorted lies in a way that they tell us it is NRA that brought peace to the country. It is a lie. There were more than NRA groups that were fighting for peace. They simply lied the other firing parties to come together and drop their guns, gave their leaders offices like General Ali and others. Even us in Teso, we have them. They gave them positions so that they can tell their followers to stop. After they stopped, they were never compensated, they were never empowered, they were ravished in poverty. And that was done so that they can consolidate power in one person who we all know. And they told us, they gave us peace. They simply silenced guns. Other regions, I want to give an example of Teso. Teso, with the war that we went through, we lost our backbone economy, which was the cattle economy. We expected that when a government that is concerned of its own people takes over, the first thing they were supposed to do is to make sure that we, the people of Teso, are sat down and given an opportunity to forgive one another, reflect on their future, and concert their effort in developing the area while government is supporting them. As the National Unity Platform, this is our commitment and promise. We cannot arrive at a consolidated country peacefully without truth-telling. So as a government, we commit to establish a truth, reconciliation, and a justice desk. And here we are demanding that as a country, can we come together? If you know you are responsible for having committed an atrocity, come forth and tell us what happened, not the lies. Ugandans value forgiveness. Ugandans value unity. We assume that somebody cannot forgive you unless you start by telling the truth. So we are saying as a government, first and foremost, we want to put this in place so that we track all the sources and the causes of why we went into war and therefore forge a way forward. Number two, as a government, we are saying, can we put in place at least a rehabilitation program? One beginning with psychotherapy rehabilitation. Because we cannot be able to think straight when all of us are suffering from post-trauma disorder syndrome. This syndrome is caused by direct face of traumatic events like war. That is the reason as to why they will never arrest an NUP member peacefully. They want to beat them up, bring the tortured one so that you can see, so that psychologically you suffer PTDS altogether. They want to make sure, because you know, PST is transferable through your gene. For us in there, so people fear to face government because our parents transferred the gene of fear and trauma to us genetically. So we are saying as a government, we are putting in place a program to see how best we can de-escalate trauma in the mind of our people. I thank you. I give Jogo the chance.
Mr. Coit, we really come from war-torn areas because the energy you put on the mic, you just know these are people from war-torn areas. Because you have been crying for long, now you have the energy. I hope I'm not going to be also another one. Dear President and comrades present, my name is Jago Fred, aspiring for MP for Kidum Municipality. When I was contacted to come and present on how reparations on war-torn areas can be done in the new government, I asked myself, how am I going to dress? Should I dress like a person coming from a war-ravaged area? Or should I dress like a person of a new Uganda? And I decided to dress like a person of a new Uganda. Because in the new Uganda, you don't need to look like your problem. In a new Uganda, no one should look at you and say, look at that bakoko. I learned this vocabulary because of teaching in Kampala for 6 years. Comrades, when I was coming, our bus stopped on the way and a group of people putting on round hats and holding sticks entered the bus. If you were supposed to be there and listen to the whispers of people in the bus say, they are there, they are passing. Yes, those are the Balalos who came to steal our land. Those are the ones. I looked at myself, really? In a new Uganda? We still look at somebody's dressing and we believe we can judge them because of the way we look? This is going to change in a new Uganda because of the promises that I'm going to enumerate now. One, we are going to end sectarianism and tribalism completely in Uganda. We are going to make sure that you are judged by the level of your brain, your competence. This issue of technical no should stop, but we should go back to technical no how. You still remember that in your primary? Technical know-how, we used to cram that. But these days it has changed. You need to know a certain language. No wonder a certain general called MK said he's going to teach our comrades a certain language that I don't even want to mention, because he's just weaponizing innocent people who have nothing to do with their government. That is a family rule. To conclude, I want to say we are going to have equal pay for equal work. Teachers are striking. I want to tell you, in Central here, you are lucky. From Monday to Friday, you get children still going to school. Why? Because their parents can't pay school fees. From my village, children have not seen teachers for close to 25 days now. And teachers, the leaders of these teachers are moving around saying we are talking with government. Talking with government? Up to when? Elections are coming. Why don't they use this time for election to pay them if possible? So I'm sending a one to fellow teachers in Uganda. If there has never been a time you want to vote Museveni out, this is the time because you have not been paid. Let me talk about national unity. We are going to organize national unity festivals and social cohesion functions, where if we are going to dance at the headquarters here, we are going to see Imbalo, we are going to see La Raka Raka, we are going to see Baksimba, we are going to see Otole, we are going to see Ajosi from Teso, we are going to bring the Karamojangs to jump here, we are going to have all kinds of dance because it is called national. Thank you so much. To conclude, we are going to empower the existing cultural traditional institutions. Comrades, you realize what happened to the king of Rwenzururu, King Wesley Mumbere, who was punished by the government for close to 6 years. He never stepped on his soil because he was telling the truth. In the new Uganda, traditional institutions are going to have their autonomy. Traditional institutions are going to be empowered. And this will work throughout the country. They are not going to be used simply to support the government in power, but to tell the truth to power. Thank you so much, comrades. Afoy matek luakme choli lango karmojong ke West Nile. Machalo National Unity Platform no. Watika wajoni gamente manyen papati enini. Obenero ni apora matie Uganda makangad manyang kole kinerni umebo. Ka choli kinerni chol. Ka karmojong kinerni komechol beberu pe Uganda. Igamente manyen pa National Unity Platform. Wabenero ni lufonye kichulugi mabe. Weko fonye lutino. In Baganda we say abana basome, right? Children are going to go to school. Thank you so much. I continue. Go on. Thank you so much. Hey, my transport has started coming to go back to Kidgum.
Thank you so much. When you go back, tell them we love them so much too. That said, before we have the next priority area discussed, our alumni from the School of Leadership are preparing a skit for us. So after the next presentation, let's prepare our minds to welcome them to present their skit. Having said that, I think the discussion around teachers not teaching and the poor quality education takes us to our next priority area, which is access to quality public services. And the emphasis there is quality. So I will welcome Dr. Judith Nalukwago and our very own Dr. Nambasa doctors to come and present on quality public services. Thank you.
People power. Our power. NUP. And everywhere. Even here in the new Uganda. Mr. President, the Secretary General, the Leader of Opposition, all leaders present, and the general public of Uganda, good afternoon to you all. My name is Dr. Shabim Nambasa, and I'll be presenting with Dr. Judith Nalukwago on priority number 4. And for priority number 4, we are saying that as the National Unity Platform, one of the things that we are going to put emphasis on is access to quality public services. When we talk about public services, we are talking health, we are talking education, we are talking clean water, we are talking transport, we are talking infrastructure. When we look at our health system at the moment, you'll find that out of all the districts in Uganda, about 82 districts lack a general public hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, we are saying that out of 2,100 plus sub-counties in this country, over 1,696 lack a health center for. If we have all those districts that do not have health centers, where are our people going to go when they fall sick? Recently, we saw Chris Bariomusi fall sick in his own constituency, but there wasn't a single hospital that could attend to him. he had to send for a helicopter to come and airlift him from his constituency, from the people that he represents, to be treated in a different districts where they also have their own MP. But I ask you Ugandans, how many of you have a contact that you can call for you to get a helicopter to airlift you from wherever you are? I think out of all of us here, it could only be Mr. President, but I'm not sure if he can. He says he also can't get a helicopter. So how many people are dying on a daily because they don't have access to good health care? When we speak about good health care, people believe that we are only speaking because we are privileged. I speak from the profession because I am one of them. I have served in those hospitals. I have been to Chirudu Dialysis Center, but I tell you that people fight for beds for them to be able to get dialysis. But I saw a photo of a certain country where a dog was getting dialysis. Our lives less important compared to the dogs that the whites own. We have seen pictures of babies at Kawempe Regional Referral Hospitals in these plastic chairs where you're seated today. Ladies and gentlemen, we lose over 100 mothers on a daily. It's sickening that as I hold this microphone, in this very minute that I'm speaking, in primary 1, only about 300,000 make primary 7. That is only about how many? 30%? Do you see what I'm saying? Where are these children going that are dropping out? Who is thinking about those very children? They are out there getting pregnant if they're ladies. Or if it is a gentleman, he's now going into stealing. And these children are giving birth not to children, but to more poverty, because in the first reason they dropped out, it was because of poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, we find that there are districts, for example, in a park, where the gentleman with the big heart claims to get 100%, but there is no single secondary school. Are you hearing me? Am I communicating, ladies and gentlemen? As we go ahead, we find that in the education sector, a single pupil is only allocated 20,000 for school fees in an entire year, while we see the Speaker's office getting billions for donations. We see so many spending a lot of money, in different things. They're giving out, they're dashing out money, but your child is allocated only 20,000 for them to be able to study for one entire year. I don't know what for. Ladies and gentlemen, when we speak about clean water, I've been to districts where people share water sources with cows. We find that cows are even getting some clean water, but there are districts where they do not get clean water. Out of the 48 million Ugandans here, we find that about 38 million lack access to clean water and to toilets. Where are they putting their stool? Where are they defecating, ladies and gentlemen? There are those little veras that we find, Monkwere, where we pass. You find there is a heap. Because they don't have access to clean water, and it trickles down to the health system. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Unity Platform promises to offer access to good roads. We find that out of the 1,500 plus roads that we have, I think it's 153,000 kilometers worth of road network, only about 6,338 kilometers are paved. That is only about 3.9% of the total road network in Uganda. But even out of that 3.9%, 20% is in good conditions. We have seen the roads that you use. We did the pothole exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw that we have lakes in the middle of roads. When we speak about our railway system, we don't even have a gauged railway system. That out of the entire railway system, only about 321 kilometers are operational. And from where we saw videos of our own train moving backwards, and everyone was saying, where is it going? But we know that in developed countries, trains are the quickest and easiest means of transport that they actually use. Trains can improve our road transport. Trains can be used to carry out trade from region to region, but that is not what we see in the current Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, when we study about the history of Africa, Uganda, when we constructed Entebbe International Airport, it was the largest international airport in East Africa. And that was before Mr. Museveni took over power. He takes over power 40 years down the road, and Entebbe International Airport is the only airport that we have. Yet it was the biggest in East Africa. We now admire Kenya, we admire Tanzania. But I mean, what are they doing? I had forgotten to tell you that when Magufuli took over power, he paved over 5,000 roads in 5 years. 5,000 kilometers of roads in 5 years. And Mr. Museveni has done that in 40 years. What more evidence do you need for you to say that it is now for us to have a new and better Uganda?
People power. Dr. Nalukwago Judith nzize kubabuulira mu Luganda so that bajjajja bange ab'e Masaka wa Kigundu bategeere n'ab'e Mawokota ab'emikono muliyo musiibye mutanamwe mulina okutegeera. Bannange Dr. Shamima annyonnyodde mu Luzungu naye katuddeko mu Luganda. Ngenda kwanguyizaako kubanga obudde butukutte. Public service mu Uganda population yaffe eri miliyoni 48 nga tugenze maaso tuprojectinze mu mwaka 2060 population ya Uganda genda efuuke miliyoni 16 ne kwezo miliyoni 16 abasinga kwabo ebitundu 7 ku 10 bagenda kubeera bakozi. Kitegeeza Uganda oba government erina okwetegekera ekiseera ekyo. Bwe tukyetegekera tetugenda ku developinga. China yetegekera ekiseera ekyo. Singapore yakyetegekera ndowooza mulaba gye bali. So nga ntandika mu public service tulinayo ebyobulamu, ebyenjigiriza, amaanyi g'amasannyalaze, amazzi amayonjo. Tulinayo enguudo, tulinayo eggaali z'omukka, tulinayo ebisaawo by'ennyonyi. Tuliwa nga Uganda biseera bino. Mu Uganda tulinayo districts 82 ezitalina malwaliro. Ate nga tulina ne sub-counties tezina health center 3s. Banange health center 3s watandikira obujjanjabi mu system ya health mu Uganda. Naye ebyalo oba sub-counties amagombolola 1,600 tegalina health center 3s. Kamba buliyo ka story twawaddeyo nga tugenda nga tuva Emityana tugenda Ekyankwanzi ku campaign trail ya president. Netusanga health center 3 nensalawo okikozesa okweyamba. Unfortunately yabadde abandoned. Temuli basawo n'abalwadde bali awo tebalina abakolako. Bwe nagenze mu toilet okumanya zibadde abandoned. Nasanze ennumba Mr. President ennumba nezinnuma era ennaku 3 badde siri campaign trail kubanga mbadde ngezaako okuwona. Naye ebyo bye twagala okukolako nti tewali health center 3 mu government ya His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ejja kubeera abandoned. Nga tugenda maaso Mwami Museveni alina emmotoka ezimutambuza 600. Si 600, si 600, wabula 600. Naye mu Uganda yonna tulina ambulances 178. Banna Uganda lwaki gavumenti eno tesobolako bye twagala okukyusa. Nga tugendako mu bya enjigiriza. Ndi musanyufu nti nno nze nzaaliddwa basomesa era nasomerako mu ssomero lya UPE so mmanye ekiriyo ate nga bazadde bange baakolanga lesson plans nga nange ndaba kirabeka kyeva bazaala omuwala omugezi naye tugende mu maaso. Mu byenjigiriza omwana oba buli mwana mu Uganda bamuwa $2,000 buli mwaka. $2,000 buli mwaka kisobola kukola ki bannayuganda? $2,000 tekisobola kugula na kalaamu oba kugula peeni mu mwaka oba mu ttaamu egi oyo mwana anasobola okusoma. Mu gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi tugenda kwongeza funding mu UPE schools. Ekirala ekisinga obukulu bano abaana bagenda ku ssomero bambi ne bamala essaawa 8 nga tebalina kye balidde. Tetugenda kukkiriza ebyo mu gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi. Mu gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi buli mwana ajja kufuna emmiro at least emu buli lunaku basobola okonsentratinga mu kusoma kwabwe. Ekirala abasomesa beekalakaasa. Ekisooka tebamala kubanga bw'otunuulira staffing rate y'amasomero mu Uganda gali ku 34%. N'obutamala abasomesa era nze maama wange yasomesanga mu ssomero lya gavumenti naye ng'asomesa subjects 3. Lwaki omusomesa omu bamubadde ninga okusomesa subjects 3? Buli subject erina okubeera n'omusomesa. N'ekirala abasomesa tebabasasudde bulungi. Kyova beekalakaasa mu Uganda empya tewajja kubeerawo kwekalakaasa kubanga abasomesa bajja kubeera ne ssente ezimala era tujja basasula bulungi. Bwe tugenda ku kyamazzi baganda bange abasinga mulwala typhoid temumanyi bino ebintu gye biva kubanga bannayuganda abasinga tebalina mazzi mayonjo kyokka nga tulina agayanja ga Nalubaale tulina kyoga byonna tubeera mu Uganda naye ensinga zi Saudi Arabia ezitalina nnyanja sirina amazzi amalungi ageyagaza naye wano mu Uganda tetugayina. Lwaki tubeera mu gavumenti bwetyo? Ne tugenda ku amasomero ebitundu 68 ku 100 tebirina mazzi. Amalwaliro ebitundu 44 ku 100 tebirina mazzi. Lwaki eddwaliro libeerawo nga terina mazzi? Bwe tugenda ku bya enguudo, Dr. Shamimba agambye nti tulina network y'enguudo emitwalo 15 naye kwatyo emitwalo 15 kilometers nkakaaga zokka zenkole ate nga NRM yakakolako kilometers 4,000. Imagine emyaka 4 kitegeeza buli mwaka bakola kilomita 10. Incompetence of this government. Tetugenda jikiriza mu government empya oba mu Uganda empya. Nga tugenda maaso nti railway abasinga ddala bazadde baffe abatusingako obukulu bazadde bamwe batambuliranga mu gaali y'omukka naye kati nze emyaka gyange okulaba ku gaali y'omukka nyina genda bweru wa Uganda tekigenda kubeerawo mu gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi. Ebyo byonna tugenda bikyusa mufune gaali y'omukka ng'osobola okubeera wano e Kampala yobeerayo omupiira mu Hoima City ng'olinnya high speed train ng'ekutwala ddakiika 3 watuuse dda walabye omupiira wakomyewo. Ye Uganda empya tetubasuubiza. Ekirala era ebiddiridde okusemba amasanyalaze n'amazzi. Amasanyalaze ga bbeeyi. Uniti y'amasanyalaze ya siringi 10. Ngenda mu saluuni okunsiba enviiri okunnaaza bunaaza omuviiri omukyala wa saluuni nangamba maama amasanyalaze ga bbeeyi nange nnyina okuggyako ssente nnyingi naye nga lwaki mbeera nsiba enviiri za ssente nnyingi nga lwaki gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi tejja uniti y'amasanyalaze ku siringi 10 n'eriteeka ku siringi 5. Ekidomola ky'amazzi tugenda kukijja ku nnusu 120 tukiteeke ku nnusu 10. Bannayuganda mugenda kunyumira Uganda empya. Ate nga no connecting amazzi n'amasanyalaze bigenda kubeera bya bwerere. Gavumenti eno yonna egenda bikolako. Ekisinga obukulu airport. Mukimanyi loopu waffe ng'akyakulira Kosase yavaayo n'abalaga nti mwezo waliyo abakyala bataasoma bebaweeja emirimu abataasoma bonna tugenda bagobayo kale basoma omugigi naye biri ebitabo byetwogerako bonna bataasoma tugenda bagobayo tuteeke abantu abasobola okumanaginga air transport yaffe so that buli region wabeerayo airport nga munnayuganda asobola okubuuka n'avaano nga bwekiri e Kenya ababaddeko e Kenya mukimanyi abantu bavuga okuva e Mombasa ne bagenda e Nairobi ata a low cost bye betwagala mu Uganda empya. Bannayuganda nga mmaliriza mukimanyi tubyogeddeko sente za health zigenda kwongezebwa tugenda kwongeza sente funding mu government hospitals ate n'abaana baffe bajja kulyanga emmere y'obwerere buli lunaku. Neyanziza nnyo people power our power.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judith. In conclusion, here's what the new Uganda promises. With the National Unity Platform, we are saying that our health centers are going to be increased. We are going to increase funding in the healthcare system to about 25% or even more, considering what was promised in the Abuja Declaration that said if the health system must improve, at least 16% of the national budget must be dedicated to the health system. We are going to recruit doctors 16 times more than what we have at present. And we are saying that every health center 3 must have a doctor. And we are going to triple other healthcare workers in the new Uganda. In the new Uganda, the funding for the education sector is going to be increased. We are saying, why should our teachers be struggling? Yet we have a lot of money. We have over 10 trillion that is stolen to corruption every year, but our teachers do not have enough salary. We are saying that connection to the national grid for electricity is going to be free of charge. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to buy electricity poles anymore. You do not have to pay for the wires to have electricity in your homes. We are going to remove value-added tax on electricity bills. We are going to make sure that businesses and domestic users of electricity, where SMEs fall, do not have to pay VAT. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make sure that every village has 10 water sources, clean water sources. And all town councils and municipal councils must construct toilets that will be accessed for free, ladies and gentlemen. I feel so bad when I go to Kampala and I have to look for a toilet and I pay, yet it is even dirty. But they are going to be free of charge in the new Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, We are going to have a railway that connects all the 4 regions in Uganda. Why should it take you 8 hours, 12 hours to come from here to Yumbi, yet you can use a train and get there in 4 hours? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make sure that we have regional, international airports. These Entebbe airports that you see, we are going to put down and we lift very new, good-looking international airports. And there is no reason why you will have to come from Ntungamo to Entebbe to board a plane to Rwanda. Do you understand? That is what we are saying. We are saying that in the new Uganda, you will not have to struggle for anything. We shall make sure that whatever it is that you need as a public service is availed to you. People power. Our power. Kunga Uganda Kunga. Thank you so much.
From what you've heard, do you want more of the same or you want change? You already have a clear picture of what is going to be in the new Uganda. And we are not just saying we are going to do these things, we have people who are going to do these things. I'm sure you're confident that these young ladies and doctors are capable of delivering what they have just promised. That said, before we welcome our alumni to perform the skit, we shall first have a surprise artist, Felista the Superstar. He's going to sing, perform for us. Thank you so much. DJ.
Felista the Superstar. The winter baby too. Ona chapa kwa karulu. Yaya kama bantu. Agenda pa kwa karulu. Wadi. China wati kwenda bomba se. The winter baby too. Ona chapa kwa karulu mama. Yaya kama bantu. Agenda pa kwa karulu mama. China wati kwenda. Ogenda uli yendulu. Yani, 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 singo bululu, yani tumu wendulu, yani akutetetu, oyagala kufumika nukuna wati. Mama, abana nayamba kwe, abatanda nayamba, unina kuno, omwanda rawange, tumwase misudu gange, yono, kwetu mutike misudu gange, yani, 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 yabasinga bwengambye nembeeyi yatenkuko waffe atukuda okutira ennyange twe ono ulira kubanga lulu tebamulya ŋŋange ono muteekako ezange kubanga lulu tebamulya tebannimba tebandyeka nebondeeta sente za jjoola tebannimba nze tebanvumba ngomba nze ngomba segomba enda abalala segomba Beba Jersey, Linda Twegomba, Winnie Bobi, Mama Bobi, Mama soda. Yani singo bululu, yani tumu wendulu, yani akutetetu, yani zunga wambe. Tumu kwasa misi mwonda fedi, telebo. Nsanyuse nnyo okubeera wano eno badde nina shemba saka naye ŋŋambye so agenda nga sirabye mukulembeze wange banaye mukulembeze wange nkwagala nnyo era nsaba luno olutabalo luzzeemu oluwangule bulungi kwagala nnyo taata neyanziza nnyo banaye omukulembeze yansuubiza haga mukirabye haga teyaŋŋamba agireese neyanziza nnyo Mr. President.
Webale nnyo mu Uganda empya era nja kweyagala nnyo. Thank you so much. For that, we are going to have one more presentation and then we'll have the skit. At this point, many of you have been asking, because in our manifesto we have told you we are going to create 10 million jobs. And many of you have been saying, how is that possible? I think most of you have gotten used to governments which don't create jobs. I'm going to welcome Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi to present on the issue of unemployment and how we are going to create jobs for you. Thank you so much.
People power, our power, NUP, President kantwaleyo omukisa ogw'enjawulo okukulisaayo mu Greater Mubende ne Greater Luweero. Bane mumukuliseeyo kyabadde kyakabi yakikoze. One, let me start with a simple philosophy in managing an economy. It is akin to going to war. Because quite often, after all this struggle we are in to remove a dictator, and our president, after swearing in, he will be just occupying momentarily a certain hill stop. But it will also define how far the climb has been and how steep the next journey to end unemployment, to create a better life, to give our people better opportunities. It will just be a beginning of a major struggle. Now, like any other war, developing an economy entails taking over what we call commanding heights. Commanding heights of an economy starts with, I'll only mention two that are very relevant. A commanding height of an economy, the first one is an emergency of an enlightened elite class in a country. I'm using the word enlightened, not people who have gone to school. An enlightened elite class is aware they must live simple so that their people must simply live. They do every sacrifice. They have a command of duty, responsibility, commitment, sacrifice, patriotism, and courage to ensure they deliver a nation. The second commanding height is an emergency, a skilled, which they've talked about, of a skilled, healthy, working human resource, for which people have talked about health and education. Another commanding height is peace. When I talk about peace, I'm speaking about durable, predictable, peace that we take for granted, not an absence of war and gunshots. Once you have that peace and stability, then you have occupied another commanding height. But in the role of that peace is the role of the military, for which most militaries in Africa fail African presidents. The military complex, other than waging war, is the gatherer of strategic information and direction of a country. They have a duty to unflinchingly speak to a president, no matter how difficult, to tell the president that what you are doing is not right, change the direction, take a new course because of the future of our country. Now, our military think all they do is to consolidate and the presidency. Another commanding height, of course, is finance and banking, which I'll leave. But my role was to demonstrate to you that you can create 10 million new jobs. I think that is an understatement. In Tanzania here, they have demonstrated, starting with the Magufuli, that in 5 years you can transform a country. The young man, the general, in the friend of the president, who Traore, has demonstrated that in 3 years just, you can transform a country. We are sure with the National Unity Platform, with the discipline of the National Unity Platform, it will take us 2 to 3 years to put Uganda right and begin a new course, not just to give you peace and stability, to give this country a heritage of an ever-improving destiny. I'm speaking about a heritage. Chabasika. Countries change forever. Good leaders don't change countries momentarily during their regime. They give them a basis of an ever better life for their citizens. And it is possible, starting with Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and the National Unity Platform. Will it be reinventing the wheel? No. Nations start from somewhere. America was given an opportunity by one man called George Washington. So was India. China was given an opportunity by Chairman Mao and others. Singapore by Lee Kuan Yew, and so many other countries. So I have no doubt, and I've worked with our president closely. I have no doubt he will deliver Uganda to a promised land. So be out there, and all we have to do is to go out 4 months from now, 2 months, and vote. Now, this is what we are going to do to create jobs. One, we are going to leverage tourism. Tourism has the potential to create new jobs in Uganda. And let me speak about tourism. Tourism today does not mean the presence of crocodile and lions. For you to have a tourist destination, you must improve all the things the Salims have talked about: infrastructure, have peace, have better roads, have communication, have better hotels. Once you do that, tourists will simply come, even without branding. So you don't need to. There must be roads without tanks and tear gas. There must be respect for human rights. Every time you put Edimutwe in a basement, you are discouraging 1,000 and hundreds of thousands tourists. No one wants to come to a country where people are put in a basement. Can't. Every time you see jam on Kampala Road, you are discouraged. Are there dinosaurs in Dubai? Are there lions in Dubai? Are there valleys in Dubai? Are there rivers in Dubai? It's because they have done a first-class infrastructure. That's what our government will do. The second thing we shall do to leverage is to create an industrial sector that can create jobs. An industrial sector that can create jobs will be the one that has a backward and forward linkage. Backward linkage is an industrial base that will be built on our comparative advantage, which is agriculture. And when you build an industry on agriculture, two, we are now getting a new comparative advantage. We are one of the richest nations in mineral potential in the world. From oil to uranium to gold to everything you need in Uganda we have. Very fast shall actually. The thinking in the other sector of the economy is, if we had developed our industrial sector, our mineral sector faster, we would never have needed to borrow to develop the oil sector. Therefore, we are going to fast track a huge industrial complex based on our mineral resources, on our agricultural resources, on our fish industry, on everything we have, and create hundreds and millions of jobs for our people. We are also going to do where our president comes from. He has been speaking about the 4 A's, okay? The art, the academics, so we are going to do a sports and arts industry that will deliver Uganda. We can tell you today, a 1 billionaire that has joined the billionaire rank this week by Forbes magazine is not an industrialist. Is a one man called Cristiano Ronaldo. Is a footballer. How many Cristiano Ronaldos can we have in Uganda? You see a young man like Okello, Alan Okello. Had he been given opportunities years back, that one would be a billionaire in the making. We have artists that are doing so well. We've just seen a young girl here performing, so perfect. In another world, this younger girl instantly will be a millionaire in terms of millions of what? Dollars. They'll not be performing in illegal. No. And there you need a right law, corporate law. You need a law that protects artists. You need a law that ensures that they earn from their talent. And that law, Mr. President, in the next 200 days of our parliament, we will put that law in place. So once you do those best things, then other things simply fall in. So our promise for a new Uganda is a Uganda that will ensure you have a heritage of prosperity, not for now, not for our children, it will be for infinity and beyond. And with those few words, I thank you. I'm requested to translate what I've talked about in Uganda briefly. Ensi yonna National Unity Platform bwemala okuwangula egenda ku lutabaalo olwokubiri. Olutabaalo olwokubiri lwe lw'okukyusa obulamu bw'abannansi. Okubajja mu mbeera embi gye mukooye tugende mu mbeera ki ey'okwesiima. Tetubagamba mbu tulwanirira mu nsi muno mubeere baavu. No. Ekitulwanyisa bannayuganda mubeere baki bagagga nga muli mu bulamu obukola ki obwesiimisa nga temusula na sweki. Wano mu Uganda abantu basula n'ebinyonyi. Wano mu Uganda abantu basula n'ente. Abantu mu Uganda basula n'embuzi nga temuli mu nnyumba za nsiisira. Ng'obudde bwe buziba tekitegeeza kizikiza, kitegeeza ekitangaala obukulembeze obulungi obulala bwe bukikuwadde. Ng'abantu abagala okuba obulungi muli buki bulungi. N'olwekyo olutalo lwe tuliko lwakuba buki bulungi. Kubanga tukooye embeera ki embi. Ebyo okubifuna wano wammanga tulina obikola. One, wateekwa okuvaayo abakulembeze abaagala eggwanga lyabwe nga ddala mweyokya ggwanga. Ekyo kitegeeza si bakulembeze bannabyabufuzi bokka, nammwe mwenna bagayi. Oli kaawo, oli simanyi oli community development officer, oli nurse, oli headmaster, working a permanent secretary in our government, a corrupt one, pack your bags nga tetunnasimbula. Olumala okulayira bwekyo oli anti oli mujjini y'obuli corrupt, please just run away. Kyagulanyi atuuse, kiboko ya uchafu. Kiboko ya uchi. Kiboko ya uchi. Kiboko ya uchi. N'ono gwe tuleeta kiboko ya uchi. Buli alimu tate kobeere speaker ojja genda. Kobeere ame commander ojja genda. Kobeere nga gwe scientist asooka mweba permanent secretary simawaki abali mu office eyo musibe ettayi tubaviira ku nguudo tubawa emmotoka empya tubasasulira insurance. Please obuvunaanyizibwa bwammwe bugenda kuba kolera bbanga lyaffe n'abantu baffe. Ne political class will be required to do that. Political class tegeeza buli omu okuva ku president, genda ku kansala, genda ku w'omuluka, genda ku kwekanda futu soja. Tokola bwa futu soja, genda mu gavumenti ng'osuubira tinawe olifuna omukisa okubba essente z'eggwanga. Ekitutwala mu kino kweswalinya nti abaana baffe n'ensi yaffe tubawa ekyobusika ekyaleero ekyenkya ekirivaawo abada tugende mu nsi ey'essanyu okwesiima okuba obulungi okweyagala okufa nga tetukolima lwaki twazaalibwa. Ne mwana n'otuka okwegomba okufa. Njabawa story bantwala e Luzira maximum prison. mu bya popular resistance nensangayo omwana omuto bali bwe young boys nembabuza lwaki babakutte ne baŋŋamba wano eruzira wootulese muwanga wootusanze twesimika okuba wano dana okuba ebweru nembabuuza lwaki ne baŋŋamba ti wano mukomera tuli assured ekyeggulu kyakawunga naye weekiri n'olwekyo ekkomera we nabasanga they were happy to be in prison because they will be assured of supper and dinner and shelter. That's not the Uganda we want. Kyomwana omuto ajja preferring okusigala mu kkomera than okubeera ebuki ebweru kubanga eri mu kkomera afuna ekyeggulo oba ekyemisana. N'olwekyo tugenda kutumbula ebyobulambuzi nga tutandikira ddala okulaba nti buli kimu ekikola obulambuzi tukiteekamu ssente ezeetaagisa tusobole okuleeta abalambuzi baleete ssente bazireke wano nga bwe baba mu Uganda tebeeralikira tiyagasi tebeeralikira kukwati batwalibwa mu kkomera tebajja kulwa mu infrastructure. Actually Malaysia waliyo tourism police abalambuzi be bajja Malaysia okuva ku airport ng'oli mulambuzi mukifeeda okukadenge zino ezitwala balupembe ogenda okutuppa bw'ojja ng'oli mulambuzi nga tukutikka nga tukuyisa mu traffic jam mangu nga tukutwala mu hoteeri ennungi ng'osasula ng'abaana baffe bafuna emirimu. Instead wano emmotoka za poliisi zitambuza balupembe bagenda mu ofiisi kunyaga sente zaffe. No, those pickups will be picked from you tuziwe twice zibanguye okutuuka we tubagirako ki lupiya. Ekyo kinaaba kibi. Tugenda kuzimba amakolero gannamaddala. Amakolero gaffe gagenda kukola kye bagamba kusinziira ku maanyi n'ebyobugagga Katonda byakola ki byatuwa. Uganda bannange buli kimu tukiina. Mabulire tetulina okubeera wano tewali yazze leero nga gavumenti oba ow'eggombolola yamuwadde emmere waali wano waliwo eyazze ng'omwezi guno yafunayo akawunga ka gavumenti nga yafunayo omucere gwa gavumenti. N'ekyo ensi esobola okweriisa olubuto tetitwala myaka 3 4 kugitereeza. Sebo President myaka 3 bwe giti mujja kubeera mu ggwanga eddala si bino bye mukoze eki temubaddemu nga n'ebyenfuna weebiki bitangaavu. Kukola ekyo tugenda kukwata ebyobugagga mu ttaka ku nnyanja tugenda kuzimba amakolero nga gasobola okuliikiriza oba galiikirizibwa obulimi n'okwongera ssente mu byobulimi. Tugenda okutumbula ebitone by'abantu bonna mu Uganda asobola okudduka bwe kanya okugulunyweza asobola okuba ebikonde naawe nyweza ebikonde asobola okuyimba bambi teekamu amaanyi asobola buli kyosobola okukola kiteekemu amaanyi anti Kyagulanyi ajja. Abantu mwekka bateetaaga Kyagulanyi namweka mbabuulire mu ababbi abagayaavu abatukaleeti ku mirimu ono gwe tuleese kibooko ya uchafu. Kibooko ya uchafu. National Unity Platform is a train for disciplining Ugandans and delivering for a better country. I thank you. God bless.
Deputy President, bw'awulidde ebigenda okubeera mu Uganda empya afunye akakisa okubeera wano naye otegeeze buli omu ky'owulidde wano leero era abantu mu Baganda bali those who had given up empapula bazikubeko enfuufu. Uganda empya empapula ezo zigenda kuba za mugaso. Kati buli omu azze wano ky'owulidde tegeezaako munno asobole okutegeera ekituluniridde mu Uganda empya. Having said that, mujja kutuukiriza tuweeko omukisa alumni ba School of Leadership baje baperforminge wano skit.
The people power! Our power!
People power!
NUP! And everywhere! Ladies and gentlemen, basabone banyaba mukirize mbategeze nti ye very official campaigners aba flag bearers NUP bashagade bulungi kakati. Listen very carefully to the good news, ladies and gentlemen.
To the oppressed, to the mothers who put bed on hospital floors, to the parents whose children have been seated at home for close to a month. This is the good news. In less than 2 to 3 months, we are entering a new Uganda. People power!
Our power! People power!
MUP!
Everywhere! People power! Our power! People! Kunga! Kunga! NUP Kunga! Kunga is a Christian Kunga! 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 Musajja oyocha akabonero ki kuti ku president ku MUP tulondanga to awo oyocha. Your system was sham. No. How do you leave such an this gentleman here? Kuliriza oyocha. In fact oyocheza osiriziza. This guy here, we know him. He competed for the party card. He was not given that chance. And then you decided to run independently.
But I've been in the party for so long. I worked for the party. I worked with the president everywhere. But now you call it.
My friend, we had trust in you. You know the party ideology, you know everything. No, chef there for you. Our power. Everywhere. The flag bearer is here.
Honorable Gorogoro. And I am the flag bearer of Kamvure East Constituency.
People. Good.
I am here to tell you about my manifesto.
Before even the manifesto. Gorogoro Jew. Honorable Gorogoro Jew. They got to see.
My first thing that I'm going to do as the Honorable Gorogoro is to make sure I supply sugar. I'm going to make sure I supply salt. Everybody will have salt in their homes. I am the rightful honorable, and I'm giving you sugar and salt.
Honorable.
Listen. The other one I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I give you rice. Pilau.
Honorable, what is that?
That is my beautiful manifesto.
I see. I don't know. Relax.
Yes.
You are the flag bearer of NUP.
Yes.
My friend, NUP has a very strong manifesto.
Are you sure?
You don't have to fidget around looking for what to say, to tell people. Just listen, there is a very strong manifesto. Don't worry.
Our manifesto has priorities. Priority number 1, restore freedom, constitutionalism, rule of law, and our party, everything.
Leader, manifesto.
Honorable, I want to tell you, our manifesto has priorities. Priorities number 2, we want to end corruption and wasteful expenditure. We're going to have a lean and efficient government. MPs twagala abiri, ministers twagala abiri, MPs twagala kinana, district twagala zikendeza. Honorable. Yes. We are going to have in a new Uganda, we are going to consolidate national unity. We are going to rebuild communities and eliminate sectarianism. Manifesto. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the new Uganda that we the citizens of this beloved our country are claiming for now.
Yes.
National Unity Platform Manifesto guarantees equal access to quality public services. Ladies and gentlemen, clean water, education, healthcare, energy and public infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, National Unity Platform Manifesto got you in this our country that we are suffering with high rate of unemployment and poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, the new manifesto is going to create 10 million new jobs in this our country. Ladies The National Unity Platform Manifesto got you all. In this our country, what we have children that suffer with hunger in schools. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Unity Platform Manifesto is going to establish a public school feeding program to transform agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, what a manifesto.
Why? Put the priorities down. Put the priorities.
Comrades, yes, honorables, we still have much more. Not only the already outlined priorities of the manifesto, but our mighty party is also committed to tackle all issues on land. With immediate effect, it will stop land grabbing, it will restore stolen land to victimized individuals, as well as self-guarantee to secure land rights. Our good news for you, comrades, as reflected to the priority 8 of our manifesto, our NUP as a party will directly promote decentralization at all levels, both at local and regional government. My friends, my honorables, my comrades, our mighty party, the NUP, is going to strengthen the foreign policy, positioning the diaspora as an asset, as well as strengthen our competition at global level in order to build and develop our country in a new Uganda.
James, in a new Uganda, natural resource management and technology.
Now, gentlemen, you made a very big mistake. We had trust in you. But since you decided to stand against the flag bearer, first of all, you violated all the party values. Think about the revolt to accept the results. No, you lost trustworthiness. You are no longer reliable, and you lost integrity.
Consider about the Constitution. Article 5(4)(a) talks about the obligation of you as a member of the party, that you have the obligation to abide and protect our party constitution. And Article 5(5)(c) also tells you that if anyone stands against the party flag bearer, there and then you cease to be a member of National Unity Party.
No! Therefore, your candidate is no longer a member.
Yes.
Indeed, Honorable His Excellency Patrick Center is the true leader of Uganda. Lastly, I want to categorically state that you do not, according to your manifesto, you do not have to be an elite to work for the people or to execute duties for the people. NUP manifesto is the only way to go.
People power! Our power! The new Uganda now!
Remove this. It needs a very serious barrier. Who wants
I'm going to try my best.
Next time better. Whoever new, of course, such levels of creativity. Ne tulowooza nti mwina abamutegedde ensonga eziri mu manifesto ya but also conveniently we plan that when it reaches this time at the popular school feeding program, So the next priority area is the school feeding program, which is going to be led by our party treasurer, Honorable Benjamin Katana. You're welcome.
People power, our power, NUP, everywhere. You know, it's very dangerous to talk about feeding at a time when people are beginning to feel hungry. I'll take a short time. Mr. President, our distinguished leaders, and all of you citizens, fellow citizens gathered here, and those that are watching us from elsewhere. I am here to share one of the priority areas in our manifesto, which is about the school feeding program. As a nation, we have had the misfortune of being led by a group of incompetent and unambitious people who only measure success on the basis of the past. And as a result, they have made some sections of our society equally unambitious. And when we present a very fine picture of how a new Uganda, the future will look like my colleagues have ably done, there are many people who doubt whether it will be implemented or not. The school feeding program is a multi-sectoral, multi-purpose, and multi-dimensional program that is intended to achieve about 4 objectives under the bigger idea of NUP's plan for improving the quality of life of Ugandans. Because a government which cares about its people, a government which is people-centered, will automatically focus. But the plan is based on providing a meal to the school-going children at primary every day, a hot meal that is nutritious. And of course, we are going to do a survey. And the materials will be sourced from the homesteads in this country. So the first objective is boost household incomes. And how do we intend to achieve this? We intend to elevate the household in Uganda into a production unit that will produce these raw materials that will be procured for purposes of feeding the children at school. If you are in an area, for example, that produces soya bean, it's a nutritious product that will help to boost the growth of these children, that will help to eliminate malnutrition-related diseases, then the investment will be in soya bean to make sure that the different households in that area are supported to produce soya bean, which will be procured by the school to feed the children. If you are from a fishing community and you have silverfish mukene, or you have fish, the investment of the NUP government will be in that sector to make sure that the households are able to supply the school with this product and earn money, but also feed the children. If you are from a milk producing community, and we have so many people who have been struggling with market for their milk to the extent that sometimes you see they are powering it, sometimes they are selling it at 200 shillings a litre, when in Kampala it is 2,000 a litre. We are going to provide a market at the nearest school. The government of NUP will procure the milk, feed your children will be healthy, but your pockets will also be healthy. The other aspect related to that, away from boosting the household incomes, is boosting agriculture. Agriculture is the leading employer in this country. However, it has not received sufficient support from government. And one of the challenges that the farmers face is the lack of market for their products. I've given you an example of milk, and there are several other examples where people are struggling to find market for their products. Sometimes they are even cheated by the middlemen and middlewomen, but also cheated by the so-called industrialists who are protected by the cartel that whose ambition is to extract money from the population in your community, to make sure that now your products will be sold to the school, you will earn money, your children will feed, and they will learn well. The other aspect related to that is fostering better learning environment. A hungry child cannot. Statistics of government itself today, the dropout rate in primary school is 68%. By implication, it means that out of 100 people who enroll in P1, 68 of those 100 don't complete P7. And that is a time bomb. And my colleagues have ably explained the other interventions that our government is going to come up with, including the increment on the capitation grant from the 6,000 per term to a more reasonable figure. But we are now also, in addition to that, going to introduce feeding of children at school so that people are not driven out of class by hunger to go to prison like the ones that the Honorable Mwanga was talking about. Even in school, you see, children are comfortable going to jail because they are assured of dinner. But now we want to make sure that they are comfortable going to school because they are assured of a meal, and a nutritious meal. Fellow citizens, the other intervention related to that is about the elimination of malnutrition. Every household in Uganda today spends a lot of money, and which money most households do not have, on meeting medical bills for taking children to hospital. And most of these children fall sick because of low immunity levels, because of poor feeding. So by feeding these children with a hot, nutritious meal every day, we are going to reduce the cost of medical bills significant amounts by making sure that the children are healthy, they are feeding well, and they are learning. They are not missing school because they are sick, and the parents are not spending money they don't have on them to meet medical bills because they are healthier. And so many people have been asking, when we have been talking about this, the school feeding program, that how are you going to implement this? We intend to implement it by working closely with PTA, the Parents Teachers Associations. Most of them under the current regime have collapsed, but we are going to work hard to make sure that we restore them, that we strengthen them, so they can be leading stakeholders working with government, but particularly working with the community development officers at the sub-county for purposes of coordination to make sure that this program is implemented. We are also going to make sure, especially in areas where production of these nutritious things is a little bit complicated because of climate and other things. And we have other interventions like irrigation that my colleagues have talked about. But we are also going to make sure that we strengthen the production unit of state agencies like Uganda prisons, so that they can be able to produce for some parts of the country that are not able to produce some of these products. And fellow citizens, this intervention also has a multiplier effect, in a sense that if the schools in a certain sub-county in Chusa are procuring eggs for the school, it means that even the person who makes the chicken feeds is going to get a business. It means that some young people are going to get jobs to work in the poultry farm. It means that some young people are going to get jobs to work in the feeds factory. So this program is comprehensive, and it is intended to cover a number of dimensions. How do we intend to do this? We intend to spend 1,500 on each student per day. And we are targeting 5 million children for the initial program. The total cost of this comes to around 1.5 trillion to implement this. And many people have been asking that where are you going to get 1.5 trillion from? My colleagues have given you a clear picture of what is happening in Uganda, and our president has been emphasizing that Uganda is a rich country, but we are rich poor. We are poor people. Because the statistics of the Inspectorate of Government have placed the money lost to corruption to about 9 trillion a year. And for us, we are looking for 1.5 trillion to feed our children. That is a very insignificant part of the money that is lost. We have been told about the mineral wealth that this country is blessed with. Our responsibility is to utilize the wealth for the benefit of the citizens. And so many people have been asking that there's a program going on called Parish Development Model. That how is it going to continue surviving under the NUP government? NUP government is a pro-people government, is a pro-development government. And what has not been managed well, our responsibility is to manage it well. The money that people are being given, for example, to go and invest in whichever they please, without training, without proper alignment with the market forces, for us we shall invest it in making sure that households produce food which will be procured by the schools in their communities. And by doing so, the little money that they are given will have a big impact, not just on their income, but on the health of their children and the health of the nation. I thank you.
Thank you so much. If you think that 1.5 trillion is a lot of money, remember that Uganda, under the NRM government, has since spent one at this. So the problem is not the lack of finances, it is the misuse of those finances. Thank you so much. We are going to welcome Madame Ramto Apio Flavia, who will present about how we are going to stop land grabbing, which we think is a very serious challenge in this country that has affected all the other forms of development, because we believe that land is a very crucial factor of production and any other form of development you want to do. She will also be joined by Ms. Natalie Margaret, who will present about empowering regional and local governance. Thank you so much. I welcome the able ladies to come and present that quickly. Let's utilize the time that we have.
People power. My name is Ramto Flavia Pio, Northern Uganda, victims of land grabbing in Uganda today. For many of us, for millions of Ugandans, if not all, we live in fear of losing our land, not to natural disasters, but to government officials, to government actors. However, we bring here a new Uganda. No wonder, us from Northern Uganda are very eager for the new Uganda. We are eagerly waiting. It's 3 months now. And I assure you, it is protest votes up there. Since 2006, the Uganda Authority gazetted the areas of our power in the disguise of conservation, I repeat. And our people of Madi and Acholi were forcefully and bitterly convicted from their land. Many years later, they were given unsatisfactory compensation. This has led to a lot of people picking arms against each other. Madi and Acholi have lived together from the times of our ancestors. But after this, we saw a lot of us picking arms against each other. We saw us picking pangas, fighting each other. Convictions have become communities part. Not just the communities of Acholi, but the communities of West Nile, of Karamoja, of Lango. But here's the good news. The National Unity Platform that seeks election to government looks to address visible solutions to these pending issues. First, we seek to protect Milo land and tenants by enforcing legal safeguards for Milo land owners and tenants. We'll also look at secure customary land rights by reviewing current past land transactions and taking concrete steps to restore land to rightful owners. We also we're also looking at having registration of all land, from a small land, all your land is registered, because why not? As young graduates, NUP also seeks to support us to use technology to establish a homegrown IT system using the blockchain technology that is a secure digital system. The graduates in the house, you need to be very excited, because finally we shall have jobs in the new Uganda. This will accommodate registration of all land, I repeat, and they'll have no more forged and fraudulent titles. We're seeing a lot of people losing their land because the powerful and the people in the government are using fraudulent means to get titles. The National Unity Platform seeks with a bold vision on land rights where no one lives in fear of possible eviction, unhealthy conflict, fraudulent acquisition of titles, closing loopholes of land grabbing and neglected land rights. Thank you so much, and people power, our power. Avoid down Dutch, Miku Malme Uganda, Mi Central Uganda, Mika Weng Uganda. Anya Ramto Apio Flavia, Aki Umoro District. Team Wabiloro Manifesto Area 7, Maloro Loka Manungom, Padang, Ikumalme Uganda. Ki Yupu Lok Pangom, Uganda Wakanti. Watie Machara National Unity Platform, Kawachi Wabikelu Repair, Minamoni, Momu, Paluta Dero, Piki Kwanyu on Paluta Dero, Ikiumgang, Piki Kwanyu on Paluta Dero, Inova Uganda, Piki Kwanyu on Paluta Dero, Kawen, Uganda can afford
Isn't Uganda such a beautiful place? Thank you so much. We appreciate, we love you, we recognize the pains of our people who have lost their land and this government. But she talks about the fact that we are going to create a system where people can access digitally. Your land title and where it is kept should not be a secret. That it is hidden somewhere. Omuntu yena yandibadde ategeera ettaka lye likomawa oba liriwa ekyapa kiriwa, sobola okuteekawo sisitimu eyakalimagezi esobola okutusobozesa ffe ng'abannansi okulaba ettaka lyaffe nekituyambako abantu abagala nnyo okubba ettaka because they complicate the systems. That said, there is a special person, special to me and special to the team from this side, who has been breaking down the manifesto on their social media platforms. Those of you asking how can I understand the manifesto further, you'll go to Natavi's social media platforms and all their content is there. Allow me in a special way to welcome her to talk about regional and local governance devolution, the real one, not the one they pretend about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. People power. Our power. A protocol observed. My name is Margaret Natavi. I am from Mukono municipality, and today I'm going to talk about priority number 8, to empower regional
and local governance through real devolution. Now, when you're talking about devolution, we are basically speaking transfer of powers from the central government to the local government or regional government. And you should pay more attention to the word real, because someone from this government is going to come and argue that, oh, we have devolution, we have decentralization, but it is not real. Ladies and gentlemen, the decentralization in the interim government is pseudo, but the NUP government wants to bring to you real devolution. We want to have a region or a local government that has real power. Power to give you the public services you deserve, power to make sure they make decisions that affect you, the common person. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to, with a very painful heart, I want to inform you that the local government, I want to bring to your attention that the local government only gets 7.2% of the total national budget. While we are supposed to do 70% of the work you see this government is doing. Why? If you didn't know, the local government is in charge of your roads. All those roads you see that do not connect to the roads that are constructed by UNRWA are done by the local government. The health centers you see in your community or in Uganda, they're under the care of the local government. The public schools or government schools you see in your area, they're under the care of the local government. But we get funding that is way less. And this National Unity Platform government wants to end that. Our promises are only 4 in the new Uganda when it comes to local government. Because we know when we work on the local government, every Ugandan out there is going to receive the public services they need. Number 1, we want to bring what we call the National Devolution Dialogue Council. This is going to be like a committee that is going to be revising, because before the NRM government came, or the governments before, we had regional governments. We didn't have these many districts we have today. When the NRM government came and they bring the Local Government Act, they have been trying to break down the districts to the many 140 plus districts we have today. They are not breaking down the districts to improve the public services to you. They are basically breaking up districts to increase their votes, to increase the number of MPs in parliament that support the NRM. Now, for us, we are bringing this council to make sure we discuss. The council is going to have religious leaders, cultural leaders, civil leaders, and regional leaders to discuss. If we went back to regional governance, how would Uganda be? And this council, we want to bring it in 2026, immediately after swearing in. We come up with this council. Number 2, I come with sad news for anyone here or anyone watching who was waiting to become an RDC in the NUP government. One thing we are going to delete immediately we get power are the office of the RDC, assistant RDC, deputy RDC, because they're just taking our money, but not to improve services. I must tell you that, you see your LC1s and LC2 leaders, they get 10K, 10,000 Uganda shillings per month. And this money comes at the end of the year. Of recent parliament sat and they agreed to increase their money to 50,000. This government doesn't love you, dear Ugandans, because most of these LC1 chairpersons are NRM, but they get 10,000. That's why you see them out of office every time. That's why you see them increasing the amount of money you have to pay to get a stamp, which you would get a free of charge. Now, we've been telling you Ugandans that this government doesn't love you, and you didn't know until at least we from Mukono, we got the chance. And the man told us point blank live. Likewise, wherever you are, so this is the time to vote for a leader, a leader that wants to see that your well-being is improved. We want to address regional inequality. We must agree that Uganda faces the same problems when it comes to infrastructure, health, schools, etc. But also we must accept that the problems in the education sector in northern Uganda or in eastern Uganda are not the same as in central Uganda. We must agree that the health care or the roads in other regions of the country are not at the same level. So much as we want to improve these infrastructure and public services, we have to be careful on where we add more money so that we can lift different regions to the same level. And those are the 4 basic parts we are going to focus on. And maybe briefly for the people that do not understand English, National Unity Platform ng'etusse mu buyinza twagala okulaba nga tuteekawo olukiiko lwe tuyise National Devolution Dialogue Council. Olukiiko luno lugenda kubeerako abakulembeze ab'ekinnansi, abakulembeze ab'ebitongole by'obwannakyewa, abakulembeze bamwe be bulina essaawa eno n'abakulembeze ba regions. Tulabe nti singa tuddayo ku nkola eri gye twalina eya federo nga buli region erina obukulembeze obwayo, Uganda eno egenda kubeera etya? Kuba tugizudde nti districts ze tulina ennyingi gavumenti eno zeereese tebali muzireetawo kwongeza mpeereza y'emirimu gye balina obakolera, wabula bagyongeza kwongeza muwendo gw'ababaka ba parliament parliament aba NRM. Basically tebali mukikola kubongeza bukulembeze. N'ekirala twagala twongeza ku funding, twongeza ku ssente ze tuwa local government, kubanga tulabye nga bakola ebitundu 7 ku buli 10 ku mirimu gavumenti eno gy'erina okukola mu masomero, mu malwaliro, ku nguudo n'ebirala, wabula ng'ate ssente ze babawa ntono nnyo. Twagala twongeze from 7.6% gye tuliko kati up to 40% by 2030. Twagala tuteekayo graders, twagala tuteekayo tractors, twagala tuwe at least, kuba manifesto yagambye at least buli district ebeereyo ne tippers 5 okutandikirwako okulaba nga ziri ku solid waste management. Twagedde ku bachairperson b'ebyalo LC2s akasente tugambye buli ssentebe w'ekyalo oba wa LC2 afuna $1,000 buli mwezi, ate nga tezijja buli mwezi, zijja ng'omwaka guwedde, kutegeeza mu mwaka ssentebe w'ekyalo afuna $12,000. Palamenti yatudde n'eteesa babongereko bave ku $1,000 mpaka ku $5,000. Ne mbagamba bannayuganda, gavumenti eno tetwagalangako. Olaba LC abasinga mu Uganda bali mu kibiina kya NRM naye bafuna $1,500. Olwo gwe nakato waabwe nakaddu waabwe atalina wa NRM osubira bagenda kufaako ddi. Ne tugamba nti twagala twongeze nga bwe tuba tugaba ssente zigenda okukola emirimu mu regions eza Uganda ez'enjawulo, tuzongeza okusinziira ku need nti abatalina masomero mu regions endala nti fenna tulina bijja ku byokusoma, ebyobulamu, enguudo n'ebirala, wabula tulina okukkiriza nti regions ez'enjawulo zifeesinga ebizibu bino mu ngeri za njawulo. Yes, mu Buganda tuyinza okugamba amasomero tulina mabi, naye nga level y'obubi gye tuliko ate si yemu n'abali mu Eastern region oba mu Northern oba mu West. Katwagala nga tuba tuweereza zino ssente tuzichanneling according to need okusinziira ku bwetaavu. So yeyo priority yaffe number 8 in brief. Ngala we lwabagambye bannayuganda mwenna nagezezaako okumenya manifesto zino priorities zonna 11 mu Luganda kuva kwesooka paka kwesembayo. Page yange nze natabi ku TikTok n'abalala basharinze ku X. So in case totegeera Luganda babadde basharinga mu Luzungu bonna nga bibadde bikalubirizaamu, osobola ogenda ku TikTok eyo ne weeyongera okunnyonnyoka zino zonna priorities mu lulimi Oluganda. Neyanziza nnyo neyanziza. Webale nnyo. Kyakyambadde njagala ogattako nti akakiiko kagenda kubeerako abakulembeze b'ennono. Abamu manyi nti tubadde mu kikulandinge naye. That said, I know some of you have been enjoying the presentations, but we are about to come to an end. I know that some of you have been enjoying the presentations, but we are about to come to our end. We have only 3 that are left. We will present those quite quickly, and then we recognize that time has been fast spent. We don't want to keep you here. We have told you the new government, we want people to work, to use their talents, to develop our nation. So we want to give you also time to prepare yourselves for the new government. That said, I'm going to welcome our next member, Councillor Sasi Marvin, to talk about how we are going to position our country to the diaspora. He's also going to speak to how we are going to position our foreign policy outlook. Let me welcome Councillor Sasi Marvin to come and present in the next 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hi. So I rarely speak in public. I am still going to catch my breath. I hope you can bear with me. I'm happy to see you here. My name is Sas Marvin. I think I've already been introduced. By Mujimo David Sylvester.